All right, we are ready to get going here from Little Falls, New York, and we're going to take you over to Utica, where we're going to stay at the city wall there, Aquavino. Both this place and I consider Aquavino must stops. We didn't stop here the first time. So a little bit more about planning as we go along here. We have two locks today, which are of note for Lock Lady and myself. And so we've talked about those. Lock 18, it has ropes and cables on it. It used to have pipes, but the pipes are gone.
Okay.
So anyway, and that's where you will have to kind of look at some information. Skipper Bob is good source of information, but then again, more real-time information is there, and if you want the latest is call the lockmaster if you're that concerned about it. It's about 3 miles west of us here where we're sitting, so it was really cold here this morning. We got out of bed and it was about 33 degrees, it said on the phone, and I could believe it. Came up here on the bridge and the two air conditioner indicators up here said 48 degrees, so we turned those both on and got it a nice toasty 64 degrees up here. So depending on you shouldn't have any problem if you're going through this on the normal time. You'll be probably using air conditioners, who knows, but anyway, that's the conditions today. The locks that we're going to go through, they're called Jacksonburg and Frankfurt, and so we'll see those at I think it's mile 83, and I forget the other one is let's see, mile 95. So about 12 miles in between. Rev always likes to know how long till the next lock, so it's going to be at least an hour in between the locks there as we go along. Mile 87, there's a nice little town after we get on the other side of Lock 18 called Herkimer, and that's a place also that a lot of people like to go to. You can kind of tour. I'm told the Herkimer Diamonds used to be through there, but we're also going to go by a marina that we stayed the first time that I highly recommend if you're coming through. It's called Ilion, and nice marina on the south bank, and you can also tour the Remington Arms Museum as you go through there if it's open, but we will be bypassing that because we've been there before. And then one other thing that I think I've talked to you before is when you start the Erie Canal, you should sign up for the Erie Canal notices you just go to New York State Canal System, Google that, and you'll find the Erie Canal and the Oswego Canal and all the other canals that are there. The ones that you're going to go through, you can kind of check and sign up for notices. And so something that I wrote down is I did this about a week before and started getting the notices of what's going on the canal, and there is some dredging that we will probably see today around red 546, just on the west side of the Frankfurt lock. And so what I did was I came over here and I took my waypoints here and I just kind of said, oh, here I made myself a little waypoint and review that, and here it is. This is the south bank, this is the north bank, and I just put a little marker here. Actually, this is the north bank, this is the south bank. And I put a little marker here that there's dredging so that when I come up here, I'll see this little symbol, skull and crossbones. But you can see here there was shoaling, and so they are taking care of the dredging on there. So we will have to be careful of that. No wake speed going through there. So that gives us a little bit of heads up that there's, some issues with the shoaling in there and that they are trying to take care of it. Strategically, weather-wise, we are looking to see what it's going to be like to cross Lake Ontario. Now, we're not going way across Lake Ontario. We're going on the southeast portion of it. So it'll be about 30 miles that we'll have to go over Lake Ontario. So we're kind of looking to see, hey, what's the most comfortable time to go through,
And I thought it was Oneida.
That's Lake Oneida. We'll go through that
Oh,
the day after tomorrow.
okay.
I'm not concerned about that one because the weather's okay for that. But as you look strategically down the road, some of these weather forecasts will
Oh,
only go out about 6 or 7 days, and we're about 8 or 9 days away from that. So we're starting to kind of gauge in on some of those strategic weather forecasts so that we can make a decision as to how long we're going to stay at Brewerton. So some of the things you have to think about as you're going along. We don't really have a schedule, but we'd like to kind of hit the best weather window. You know, we have a kind of a day that we think that we're going to arrive there, but it may be plus or minus 2 or 3 days, depending on what those waves look like going across the southeastern portion of Lake Ontario. So just some of the things you have to think about as you're moving along. The other thing that I'm starting to think about is as we put the boat in winter storage, you know, how much fuel do we want to have in the tanks? We certainly don't want to have full fuel tanks, but I don't want to have empty fuel tanks either. So we've kind of agreed with the yard as, you know, a nice thing is about 3/8 of a tank. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So my task between now and the next place that we'll fuel up is to figure out the distribution of the fuel and what I have in my, I have 4 tanks. I have 2 main tanks and then 2 what we call ox tanks in the back. The ox tanks take 112 gallons apiece and the main tanks take 232 gallons apiece. And we're going to be looking at that to see what we should top off with and where we should burn the fuel out of and route from the last fueling place on the way up to the storage area up in Alexandria Bay. So lots of things to think about, and we plan to get a few maintenance items done up in Brewerton as well. So we've coordinated with them. We told them we'd be there on a certain day, and we'd like to keep them updated as to what's going on so they can kind of plan their work around us as well. So I think it's about time to crank up the engines and let them warm up and discuss the line plan with Rev. It's a side tie here, so it should be fairly easy. There's no wind going on, so I classify it as pretty much a non-event. And look at that water out there. Just can't wait to get going on it.